Hello there. Welcome to our today lecture. As in my previous lecture, I mentioned that we will apply all the econometrics technique in our next session. So in previous lecture, we have discussed the good features of regression model theoretically, and in our today lecture, we are going to discuss the all of the application practically. So now we are going to implement all the models practically. So first of all, we have to bring our data from Excel to eViews file. So here I have my data in Excel file. I have copied all the data, and now I am going to eViews file. Here I will go to view file, new work file, and then I have to mention the start and end date of my data set. So here I have entered the start and end date of my data set. My data is annually, so I am going with this option, and in this option it is asking me about the unstructured, undated, dated, regular frequency, balanced panel data. So my data is time series and my data set has start and end date, so I am going with this option. And then I have to click on OK. Now I have to go to quick, then on empty group, and here I have to paste my all data. So here you can see that my all data which I have copied from Excel file, now it is in eViews file. So now I have to select all these variable one by one. So first of all we have to select, or we have to finalize that what is our dependent variable. So in this model, in this case, our dependent variable, let's say, is GDPG. So click on GDPG, then press the control button and select all of your variables one by one. Then after selecting all the variables, right click from your mouse, open as equation. So here you can see that your model is written here. So the first variable, which is GDPG, is your dependent variable. C is for constant or intercept. GOV, POPD and FDI, these are your independent variable, and from this option you can select any of these model which you are going to interested apply on your this model. But for the time being we are interested in LS, or ordinary least square method. So I am going with this option. Here you can see that it is showing the sample size for our data, which is from 1996 to 2024. So now click on OK. So here when you click on OK, this dialog box will appear on your screen, and here you can see that it shows that dependent variable is GDPG, as we have given instruction to him in our previous command. Then it shows that we have used method of least square, and it shows the sample size, and here it shows the total number of observation included in our model. So now, and this is the result. So C is a constant or the intercept, GOV, POPD and FDI our independent variable, and here this is the probability value, this is the t-stat, standard error and coefficient. So now let's back to the PowerPoint slides. So now we will discuss each good feature of the regression model one by one. So what was the first feature? First feature was that high R square. So let's see what is our R square in our estimation model. As you can see that our R square is 0.012, which means that is only 2%. So it means that 2% variation in the GDPG is because of these three independent variable, which is very less. So it means that R square does not fulfill the requirement of good fitted model, as it is very low. So for good fitted model, or for saying that our independent variables are explaining our dependent variable, it should be more than or at least 60% or 60. But in this case it is only 2%, which means that there is only 2% variation in our dependent variable because of those our independent variable, and 98% variation in the model is because of those variable which we have not included in our model. So this is the first thing which we have to see when we are analyzing any model. So this is the first thing, that high R, there should be high R square. And second is the significance of the F statistics. Now we will see the F statistic value. For the significance of the F statistic, it should be less than 0.05. So let's see what is our F statistic value. So here you can see that our probability value of F statistic is 0.95, which shows that our variables are not jointly significanting our dependent variable. As here in our previous session we also mentioned that F stat shows the joint significance of the independent variable on dependent variable, and its value must be less than 0.05 or 0.05 for its significance. If it is less than 0.05, then we can say that our model is good fitted. But in this case our probability value of F stat is very much greater than 0.05. It is 95%. So it shows that our model is not good fitted, and it shows that our independent variables are not jointly significant affecting our dependent variable. So now come to the next thing, which is low p values of the coefficient. So for the significance of the independent variable, the probability value of the coefficient must be less than 0.05. But in this case all the probability values of the coefficient is very much greater than 0.05. For example, this independent variable shows that its probability value is 0.62, which is 62%, which is very much again higher than the 5%. So it means that this variable is insignificant. Again, when we come to the next variable, its value is 0.69, which is very much greater than 0.05, and it is also insignificant. And the last variable value is 0.76, which is also greater than 0.05, which also shows that it is also significant. So all of these three variables are insignificant. So we have to see the probability value for the significance of the variable. If the value is less than 0.05, it means that the individual variable is significant. But if it is probability value is greater than 0.05, it means that variable is insignificant. So in this case all of these three variables are showing insignificant results. So now move to the next thing. Next thing is that higher value of the coefficient. So for the goodness of the model, or the variable is good fitted, your coefficient values should be higher. So higher the value of the coefficient, it means that that particular variable is affecting high or much affecting our dependent variable. So let assume for this case GOV, its coefficient value is minus 1.73. It means that when there is 1 unit increase in GOV, it will decrease the GDP-G by 1.73 unit. But these results are meaningless as our probability value is showing insignificant result. So for interpretation of any of these variables, it is necessary that your variables results are significant. If they are insignificant, we cannot predict or forecast our dependent variable on the basis of independent variable. And here comes the next thing. The next thing is that t value and the p values. we can explain the significance of our independent variable by either p values or t values. If the t values are greater than 2, then it means that variable is showing significant results. But in this case, none of the t value of these variable is greater than 2, but they are very much less than the 2. So t values also suggesting that these three variables are showing insignificant results. So higher the t value, lower will be the p value. They both shows the same thing, they both shows the significance of the variable, but they both shows in opposite direction. When t value is becoming higher and higher, the probability value is becoming lower and lower. So both of them shows the same thing, but they both move in the opposite direction. We can calculate the t value by dividing coefficient with standard error. If we divide this value by this, we will get this t value, and when we divide minus 1.73 with 3.46, we will get this value of t statistic. So for the calculation of t statistics, the formula is coefficient divided by standard error, and it will give us t statistic value. And come to the next thing. The next thing is multicollinearity. There should be no multicollinearity in our data set. So multicollinearity exists when the two independent variables are affecting each other. But for the time being, we are not interested in checking the multicollinearity, as we have to adopt or apply another test which we shall do in our upcoming lectures. So the next thing is that normal distribution of residual. The alternative null hypothesis is that residuals are normally distributed, and the alternative hypothesis is that residuals are not normally distributed. So for the checking of that the residuals are normally distributed or not, we have to apply York-Bera test. So now we are going to apply York-Bera test, and we will check that our residuals are normally distributed or not. So for the checking of that residuals are normally distributed or not, we have to apply York-Bera test, and for this we will go to view, then residual diagnostic test, and then we will apply histogram normality test. So this will give us our York-Bera test for the checking of that the residuals are normally distributed or not. So here it will give us we will have to see the probability value. So if the probability value is less than 0.05, we have to reject the null hypothesis. But if the probability value is greater than 0.05, we have to accept the null hypothesis. So what is our null hypothesis? Null hypothesis is that residuals are normally distributed. As in our results, our probability value is greater than 0.05, so it means we have to accept the H0, which means that residuals are normally distributed. So if your results suggest that your York-Bera test of that probability value is greater than 0.05, so you have to accept it. You have to accept the null hypothesis, which means that your residuals are normally distributed. So the next thing is that we have to see that homoscedasticity, and homoscedasticity means that the residual variance is constant. So though there is no change in the residual variance of the residual is constant. So H0 is the null hypothesis that variance of residual is constant or homoscedastic, and H1 is variance of residual is heteroscedastic, or the variance of the residual is not constant. So for this we normally apply Brosh-Pagan test, or simply we say a BP test. So we have to apply this test, and we have to see the p value. If the p value is less than 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis, which means that we have to accept the alternative hypothesis, which means that our variance is not constant. So now let's go back to the EViews and apply Brash-Pagan test to check the existence of homoscedasticity or heteroscedasticity. So from this view option, we have to go to residual diagnostic test, and then we have to apply heteroscedasticity test, and here we have multiple options which we can apply for the checking of homoscedasticity or heteroscedasticity, but we are going with this option, Brash-Pagan-Godfrey test. So we have to click on OK. So here are the results for Brash-Pagan test. We have to see the observed R square probability value, this value. If it is less than 0.05, we have to reject the null hypothesis. If it is greater than 0.05, then we have to accept the null hypothesis. And in this case, our null hypothesis that variance of residual is constant or homoscedastic. So as our probability value is greater than 0.05, so we have to accept the null hypothesis, meaning that variance of the residual is homoscedastic. So the next thing is that we have to check the issue of autocorrelation. In simple cases, Durbin-Watson tell us that either there exists an issue of autocorrelation or not. If the Durbin-Watson value is close to 2, then there is no issue of autocorrelation. But if it is less than 2, then it means that there exists a issue of autocorrelation. But for the checking of serial correlation, we have to apply serial correlation LM test. So now we are going to apply serial correlation LM test. And the null and alternative hypothesis for the serial correlation LM test, S naught is residuals are not autocorrelated, which means that there is no autocorrelation, and the H1 is residuals are autocorrelated, which means that there is an issue of autocorrelation in our data set. So we have to apply serial correlation LM test. And what is the guideline? The guideline is that if probability value is less than 0.05, then we will reject the null hypothesis. So now let's see what will be our probability value. We have to go view, then residual diagnostic test, then we have to apply serial correlation LM test, and then we have to include our lags. So I am going with this default option of to include 2 lags, then click on OK. So here it gives us the Brash-Godfrey serial correlation LM test, and we have to see the probability value of observed R square as it is greater than 0.05, which means that we have to accept the null hypothesis, which means that residuals are not autocorrelated, which means that there is no issue of autocorrelation in our model. So this is how you can check the autocorrelation issue in your data set. The next thing is that theoretical soundness, that you have to include all those variables which are affecting highly to your dependent variable. So this is all for our today lecture. In today lecture we have discussed all the things which are essential for the good regression model. I hope you have learned something new from today lecture. If you have any query or question regarding today lecture, you can ask me freely.